On July 1st, 46 state governments, thousands of county assessor offices, and the federal Medicare apparatus all quietly roll over into a new fiscal year. This administrative shift triggers automated reassessments, premium recalculations, and deadline windows that most retirees will not discover until the collection notices arrive in August. The state of Texas requires Form 50-114 for property tax exemptions to be filed before the summer collection cycle locks in your rate. In Illinois, missing the July deadline for the PTAX 34 senior freeze means your property taxes default to the standard market rate, permanently erasing a protective cap. The federal government uses this same mid-year window to process the late tax returns filed in April and issue income-related monthly adjustment amount notices for Medicare Part B. These are not clerical errors that you can fix with a phone call later. Missing these July administrative windows turns a predictable retirement budget into a financial crisis. The resulting costs are immediate, legally binding, and heavy. The structure of the American financial calendar works against the average retired citizen. Congress established the federal fiscal year to begin in October, but the vast majority of local municipalities, school districts, and state Medicaid offices operate on a fiscal year that begins on July 1st. This date is the absolute deadline for local governments to finalize their budgets and set their revenue targets for the coming year. To meet those targets, county assessors mail property valuation notices in early summer. State legislatures drafted the protective senior exemptions in the late 1970s and early 1980s, creating programs designed to shield retirees on fixed incomes from rapid inflation. Lawmakers wrote these protections into the tax code, but they intentionally made them conditional. The burden of claiming the protection rests entirely on the individual homeowner. The state will never automatically apply a tax freeze to your home. You must actively demand it by filing the correct paperwork at the correct time. When these rules were written in 1982, a typical municipal budget required a modest contribution from each household, and home values moved slowly. A missed exemption might cost a homeowner $40. Today, local governments are funding massive pension liabilities and infrastructure deficits through property taxes, while home values have aggressively multiplied. The penalty for missing a deadline has grown from an inconvenience to an eviction threat. A home purchased for $80,000 3 decades ago might now carry an assessed value of $300,000. The local tax rate applied to that new valuation can produce a bill that consumes 3 months of a standard Social Security check. The protective freezes exist in the law to prevent this exact outcome. The system operates on strict adherence to deadlines, and grace periods are a fiction. You either hold the shield in July or you absorb the full force of the tax levy in August. The rules are absolute. We need to organize exactly how this affects you. The people watching this right now fall into 4 distinct groups, and the actions you must take this month depend entirely on which group you belong to. Group 1 consists of retirees living entirely on fixed income from Social Security, residing in a home they have owned for more than 10 years. Group 2 includes those who have recently lost a spouse and are navigating the mid-year financial transitions alone for the first time. Group 3 is made up of individuals who draw from a traditional IRA or a pension, creating variable taxable income that fluctuates year to year. Group 4 represents the careful planners, the people who set everything to auto pay 5 years ago and trust that the system will maintain their baseline costs without interference. I will break down the exact forms and actions required for each of these 4 groups. You will know exactly what to do. First, you must understand how these overlapping July deadlines trap careful people. Vernon lives in Peoria, Illinois. He is 74 years old, a retired machine operator who spent 30 years working second shift. He bought his modest 3-bedroom house in 1988 for $68,000. The house smells faintly of old paper and the dark roast coffee he brews every morning. The living room stays cool in the summer because he keeps the blinds drawn and runs an old oscillating fan in the corner. Vernon pays his bills on the second Tuesday of every month, sitting at a Formica kitchen table with a calculator and a blue pen. He is organized, cautious, and deeply proud of his independence. In his mind, his financial life is secure because he carries no debt and lives strictly within his means. He trusts the routine. In late June, the Peoria County assessor mailed the annual notice of property reassessment. Real estate values in his neighborhood had spiked over the past 3 years due to corporate development nearby. Vernon opened the letter, saw the new assessed value of $240,000, and felt a cold knot form in his stomach. He assumed this was a mistake, but he did not know who to ask. The notice included a dense paragraph about the PTA X340 Senior Citizens Assessment Freeze, stating the application was due by early July. Vernon read the words, but the legal phrasing confused him, and his existing standard senior exemption would protect him. He set the paper aside, intending to research it later. He forgot about the deadline. July passed. The county locked in the tax roll for the new fiscal year. In August, the actual tax bill arrived in his mailbox. Without the PTAX 340 freeze in place, the county applied the full millage rate to his newly assessed property value. The annual property tax bill jumped from $2,100 to $4,400. Vernon stared at the paper. The sum represented more than 2 full months of his Social Security income. He had exactly 3 weeks to pay the first installment. The penalty for late payment in Illinois is 1.5% per month, which compounds rapidly and eventually leads to a tax lien. Vernon panicked. To cover the sudden shortfall, he called his broker and ordered a withdrawal of $4,000 from his traditional IRA. He knew he had to pay income tax on the withdrawal, so he pulled out an extra $1,000 to cover the IRS, withdrawing $5,000 total. He paid the property tax bill on time. He thought the crisis was over. The crisis had only just begun. The withdrawal from his traditional IRA increased his modified adjusted gross income for the year. This subtle shift pushed his income exactly $400 over the federal limit for the Medicare savings program he relied on to help cover his health costs. The state Medicaid office ran their automated July redetermination the following year. They saw the increased income on his tax return. They immediately stripped his Medicare savings program benefit. The next month, the Social Security Administration began deducting the full Medicare Part B premium of $174.70 directly from his check. Vernon lost his tax freeze, drained his savings, and permanently reduced his monthly income. One missed form in July caused a 3-year financial collapse. The mathematics of the system are merciless. The mechanism that ruined Vernon's budget is completely legal and functioning exactly as designed. The Illinois Senior Citizens Assessment Freeze Homestead Exemption, documented officially as PTAX 340, allows qualified seniors to lock in the equalized assessed value of their property. It does not freeze the tax rate, but it freezes the value against which the rate is applied. The Texas equivalent is found in Tax Code Section 11.13, utilizing Form 50-114. Florida relies on Form DR-501 for its senior exemptions. In almost every jurisdiction, the law explicitly requires the senior citizen to reapply annually or verify their income during the summer months. The county assessors are legally prohibited from assuming you still qualify. If you fail to return the form by the deadline, the assessor must by law remove the freeze and tax you at the standard market rate. This is the first bill you must handle. The second July bill involves your health insurance, Medicare. Part B premiums are calculated based on your tax returns from 2 years prior, but life-changing events can alter this calculation mid-year. If you filed an extension in April or if you corrected a tax return in May, the Social Security Administration receives that updated data in June. By July, they issue income-related monthly adjustment amount notices, commonly called IRMAA. If the IRS determines your income crossed a specific threshold, your Medicare Part B premium can double from the standard rate to $349.40. Many seniors accept this increase as an unchangeable federal decree. It is not. You have the right to file Form SSA 44 to request a reduction based on a life-changing event. Work stoppage, the death of a spouse, or loss of pension income are all valid federal reasons to reverse an IRMAA surcharge. You must file the form. The third bill, hidden in July, is the Medigap anniversary rate hike. Medicare supplement plans, such as Plan F or Plan G, are sold by private insurance companies that adjust their pricing annually. Many carriers implement their statewide rate increases on July 1st to align with the new fiscal quarters. If you hold a policy priced on attained age rating, your premium automatically increases simply because you grew a year older. Most seniors believe they are trapped in these expensive plans because they develop health conditions and fear they cannot pass medical underwriting to switch. Several states have created statutory carve-outs that insurance agents rarely advertise. The Missouri Anniversary Rule and the Illinois Birthday Rule guarantee you a 30-day window each year to switch to a different Medigap provider offering the same letter plan, completely bypassing medical underwriting. If you miss this narrow summer window, you remain locked in the higher premium for another 12 months. Let us look closely at the math behind these rules. Consider a widow named Eleanor living in Texas, whose home is worth $300,000. She knows about Tax Code Section 11.13 and properly files Form 50-114 before the summer deadline. The state grants her the mandated $10,000 senior school tax exemption, plus a local optional exemption of 20% of the home value. The county assesses her home at a reduced taxable value. Her local tax rate is 2.5%. Her final property tax bill is roughly $5,500. Eleanor pays this amount over the year, her budget remains stable, and she keeps her home secure. She followed the rule. Now consider a widow with the exact same home and income who misses the summer deadline. Her name is Martha. She receives the same renewal form in June, but sets it on the kitchen counter and forgets it. July passes. The county assessor removes the senior exemptions. The 2.5% tax rate is now applied to the full $300,000 valuation. Martha receives a tax bill for $7,500. She owes an extra $2,000 this year solely because she missed a single piece of paper. To pay the county, Martha cuts her daily blood pressure medication in half to save pharmacy costs. She turns off her central air conditioning in August to save electricity. She sits in a sweltering house risking her health to pay a government bill she was legally entitled to avoid. The paper has real power. We are going to walk through the exact steps for the 4 groups I mentioned earlier. If you are in Group 1 living entirely on Social Security in a paid-off home, your single greatest threat is property tax reassessment. You must locate your county assessor's website or office today. You are searching for the terms senior freeze, homestead exemption, or age-based property tax relief. You will download the application, attach a copy of your federal tax return or Social Security 1099 form, and submit it before the summer roll closes. This one action protects the roof over your head. The government will not notify you if you are overpaying. If you are in Group 2 navigating this year as a recent widow or widower, your primary focus must be Form SSA 44. The death of a spouse is a traumatic emotional event, but to the federal government, it is also a taxable event. The Social Security Administration may still be calculating your Medicare Part B premiums based on the combined joint income you and your spouse earned 2 years ago. This means you are paying a married couple's premium rate on a single survivor's income. You must download IRS Form SSA-44, check the box labeled Death of Spouse under the Life-Changing Event section, and submit it to your local Social Security office. This will force the federal government to recalculate your premium using only your current individual income. The reduction is often substantial. For those in Group 3, managing variable income from pensions or IRA withdrawals, your July threat involves IRS Form W4P. In 2022, the Internal Revenue Service entirely redesigned the withholding certificate for pension and annuity payments. The new default rules are aggressive.